All right, let's watch this one, Roman Empire, for all you Roman Empire lovers, and then we'll watch Oddities. I don't know what it means. I assume it just means like odd things. Farts off to protect you. All right, perfect. You guys want subs? I feel like I can't watch anything these days without needing subs. Oh dear. Okay, here we go. Here we go. This guy is a classic case of people with blue eyes. You know, like people with blue eyes that just go. Please blink. Please blink. I shall unpause the video so he can blink, and so I will not be as uncomfortable.
The year is 122, and the Roman Empire is absolutely killing it. And you, a Roman legionary, have just been posted to Emperor Hadrian's brand new 73-mile-long wall in Britain.
I'm already lost. I need subs. I can't follow this without written context. I'm sorry. I have 2 brain cells right now, and one is still thinking about the farting video we just watched, and the other one's trying to think about what to cook for dinner. Hi, Matthew. Hi. Hey, welcome. Let me retry that.
The year is 122, and the Roman Empire is absolutely killing it. Okay. And you, a Roman legionary, have just been posted to Emperor Hadrian's brand new 73-mile-long wall in Britain, Hadrian's Wall. Clever name. Now, you know that you should be watching out, protecting the empire from marauding wildlings or Caledonians, but all you can think is, what's for dinner?
Oh, that's me too.
This dish of Minutal Matianum, ancient Roman pork with apples. So thank you to Wondrium for sponsoring this video.
That sounds really good,
on Hadrian's Wall, this time on Tasting History. So last summer, I actually got to visit Hadrian's Wall along with a large fort just south of the wall called Vindolanda, which was actually built before the wall in the year 85. And besides getting to see the ruins of the fort itself, they also have this fantastic museum filled with all these artifacts found at the site that give you an idea of what daily life at the fort was like. Everything from swords and coins to the things that really interest me, like cooking pots, amphorae for holding wine and garum, and even oyster shells with a little tool for eating them.
I find, whenever I visit museums, I don't quite care about like weapons and armors and stuff. I really like their daily necessities stuff, like combs or bowls, like eating utensils. What's another one he did not mention just now? Oh god, I'm blanking out. Oh, mugs, like stuff they drink with. I don't know. I think that's quite interesting.
They've also found hundreds of fragments of writing at the site from as early as the late 1st century. And a lot of them mention food, giving us an idea of what those people stationed at the very frontier of the Roman Empire would have eaten. Now, since they are just fragments of writing, we rarely get the full picture of what they were eating or what they were doing, but in just 2 fragments, we do get a good idea that they were eating a lot more than just bread and pulse or porridge. They had a really wide variety of food available to them. One even mentions pork, specifically pork crackling, trotters, Flavius cerealis to his brocus. Greetings.
What are these words?
If you love me, brother, I ask that you send me some hunting nets.
If you love me, Chad, I ask that you send me some dish soap. Hi, Jackson. Hey, Crocobite. Hi. Pork, huh? Have you guys tried trotters? They're quite good. I'm also surprised. I thought back in the days they would eat like really poorly. I don't know why I thought that. I just feel like when things weren't as civilized, I guess people just didn't put that much time into like figuring out how to cook more delicious foods.
Emotionally manipulative, but relatable. Now, in another fragment, they talk about a lot of ingredients that would have excited any ancient Roman gourmand. Bruised beans, 2 mori. Chickens, 20. 100 apples, if you can find nice ones. 100 or 200 eggs, if they are for sale there at a fair price.
That's expensive.
Mulsum, honey-flavored wine. 8 sextari of garum. A
What?
modius of olives. So with some of these ingredients, along
Olives
with
are
others that we know were
nasty.
available at Vindolanda at the time,
That's
we can
gross.
recreate this dish from Apicius for Minutal Matianum. A recipe likely named after Gaius Matius, who was a friend of Julius Caesar and was known for his facility in the art of topiary as well as his love of cooking. He's thought to have actually written 3 cookbooks at least, or collections of recipes. Unfortunately, they don't survive.
They had cookbooks back in the day? I don't know why. I feel like in my head, this area of history just so... I know it's past caveman mode, but in my head, I thought it's like the same in terms of technology development. I don't know why. I never thought I can't speak. I never thought they would have recipe books. I always wanted good food. Oh, true. Eating good food is one of the... I cannot speak today. Eating good, delicious food is one of life's many, many treasures, luxuries, if you insist. The stutter, stop.
But this recipe might be based on one of those. Though he also had an apple named after him, so it's possible that it's simply named after the apple. Now, we don't know for sure that they ate this dish at Vindolanda or Hadrian's Wall. It's merely conjecture. It's possible, but it's conjecture. And a lot of ancient Roman history is based on some conjecture because there are a lot of pieces of history missing, which is why I am loving this series from today's sponsor, Wondrium, called A Historian Goes to the Movies, Ancient Rome. It's really interesting to have somebody kind of lay out what's real, what's not, and what might be somewhere in between. Like the famous 9th Legion, the Lost Legion of...
I'm gonna say this now, so I'm quiet because I don't know any of this stuff. I'm so uneducated in this area of the history. What the hell is the 9th Legion? Lost Legion of Rome? Roman Empire! All right, Roman Empire experts in chat. Backseat me.
Of Rome. Several books and several movies have been made about this lost legion who was thought to have traveled beyond Hadrian's Wall and was probably wiped out by the Britons because they were never heard of again.
Wait, is this the legion that like went on a trip and then just like disappeared? Like they couldn't find bodies and stuff? Is this the one?
Again, the only problem is there really isn't any historical evidence to suggest that that actually happened. Now, they did disappear from the historical record, but that doesn't mean that they actually disappeared or that we know what caused
Silly
it.
historians.
Really
they isekai'd, obviously.
The many wonderful series on Wondrium.
They went to
Their
Narnia,
offerings are presented
bruh.
by experts in their field.
Even
and
I can
cover
figure
every
that out.
subject from history to travel to art and business and even how to learn musical instruments. So to give Wondrium a try, you can get a free trial by clicking the link in the description or visiting wondrium.com/tastinghistory.
Thank you,
Now,
Wondrium,
let's
for
get back
sponsoring
to
this video.
Put oil, garum, stock, chopped leek, and cilantro and small ground meatballs in a pot.
That sounds
Chop
so
previously
good.
cooked shoulder of pork with skin into cubes. Cook all together.
How
Halfway
long?
through cooking, add cored and diced Matian apples.
That sounds
While it cooks,
amazing.
grind pepper, cumin, cilantro, and coriander seed, mint, and
Wait, they have spice at this time? Pepper, cumin, cilantro, and coriander. Mint. That sounds not bad. Not the most spiced up, not the most complex spice, but that sounds really good.
silphium root. Pour in vinegar, honey, garum de frutum, and some of the cooking liquid.
Oh my God.
Adjust the flavors with vinegar, bring
I'm
to a
swallowing
boil,
saliva.
add broken tractor to thicken, sprinkle pepper, and serve. So it is a lot of ingredients, and you can save yourself some time by buying some ham or some pre-cooked pork, but you can also make your own pork shoulder using an ancient Roman base of olive oil, salt, pepper, and some honey. Slather that on the pork, and then put it in the oven at 450 degrees Fahrenheit, 230 Celsius.
Guys,
for about
I'm so
15 minutes,
hungry.
and then lower the temperature to 275 degrees Fahrenheit, 135 Celsius, and cook for about an hour per pound.
I'm
or
so
until
sorry
the
if
center
anyone's watching
hits a
this late at
temperature
night.
of at least
I'm so
165
hungry.
degrees. Now, all you need for this recipe is 1 pound or 450 grams of the pork shoulder cut into cubes, but most pork shoulders are quite a bit larger, so you'll have some for lunch tomorrow. Then take 1 tablespoon of olive oil and heat it in a pot. Then add 3/4 of a pound or 340 grams of pork or ground beef formed into little balls.
Oh my
and you may want to add
God.
some egg to help bind them.
Oh my
Also,
God. Oh, this sounds so good. Has anyone tried following his recipes? That sounds amazing. Holy, I wonder how much of this is like embellished a little bit for modern taste buds. Because a lot of these sound very fancy for 126 AD. You know, I wonder if it's changed up just a little bit slightly. You haven't, but I kind of want to. Yeah, I want to try. You've made this. How did it taste? Oh my goodness. Romans traded with China and India for spice. Oh.
Add a cup of chopped leeks, then let them cook for 8 to 10 minutes or until they start to brown. Then deglaze the pot with a cup or 235 milliliters of chicken stock and 2 teaspoons of garum.
Oh,
So
it's
if this
fish
is your first
sauce.
time
I
watching
see.
one of the
Okay.
ancient Roman recipes here
I
on
didn't
the
know what
channel,
that was.
Garum is the ancient Roman fish sauce that is in absolutely everything that they made.
Oh, okay.
Usually it's actually just the liquid part, which was called liquamen. And
Liquamen.
modern versions of it do still exist, so I'll put a link in the description to where you can get some of those. But the very first episode that really made this channel take off a few months after I started it was when I made garum. Though I made garum using a Byzantine recipe for quick garum because I was living in a
Is it
tiny
Byzantine or
apartment and I didn't want,
Byzantine?
you know,
I thought it was
fish
Byzantine.
guts on my table for months at a time because that's what it takes to make real garum.
Ah, it smells so
Now
bad.
I have a backyard, so I'm doing it. In a couple weeks or as soon as it warms up a little bit, I am going to start true garum, which does take several months, and I'm going to do a whole video on it once it's all done. But if you want to follow along with the process, just follow me on Instagram, Tasting History with Max Miller. I'm going to document the whole thing.
I applaud him for his passion and perseverance, because that shit's gonna stink up his backyard for like a few months. And maybe more, because it lingers. God, fish guts, the smell lingers so much. Because we buy whole fish and clean the guts. And like, you know, take off the scales and all that. It's just so smelly. Anyway, fish sauce. I didn't know British people use fish sauce. What happened? They were using fish sauce and all this spice back in 126 AD. What happened? Why did they stop using it? How do we lose all the spice?
Now after you've added the garum to the pot, toss in a small handful of chopped cilantro as well as the pound or so of pork. And this will let off some juice, but you're also going to need to add some more stock as it goes. You want to make sure that there's enough that it kind of covers the bottom that it's simmering in, but it's not a soup, so you don't need to like fill it up with stock.
Okay.
Then let it simmer for 15 minutes and then add in a pound of sweet
that's
apples
so
which have
good.
been cored and cut into cubes. Then let this cook for another 20
I
minutes. or
love
until the
meat
ground
dishes
meat is fully
tenderized with
Now, the
fruits.
last thing we need to
So
create
good.
is the sauce. But before we do that, I wanted to let you know some of the other foods that would be available to you should you ever find yourself shipped off to Hadrian's Wall. So 2 years ago, I did a video on what the average Roman soldier would have eaten, focusing mainly on what they would have
What is
eaten
that?
while on the march. And that was laridum ac bucellatum atque acetum.
Okay,
Lard or fatty bacon, hardtack, and sour wine that could have been used to make posca. But
Posca.
most of the soldiers living along Rome's northern frontier were actually living in forts and so had a much more varied and frankly appetizing diet available to them. Now, they would have had 2 main meals a day, one in the morning and one around sunset. And just like in today's military, you were told when you were going to eat. The hour for supper
Is that
and
true, military folks in chat? He didn't really embellish the recipes. He tries to stay true to the original recipe. Oh, I respect that. That's really nice. And it's good. You tried to make this and it's good. Oh my God. It sounds amazing. But I didn't see him add salt anywhere. I guess there is a little bit of salt in the fish sauce, the garum, but not like crystallized table salt.
breakfast is not left to individual discretion. All take their meals together. This was done at the command of a trumpet, as were the hours of sleep, sentinel duty, and rising. Though like me, the average Roman soldier did like a snack, and so they would have been able to eat throughout the day on foods that they carried with them, like nuts and wild berries, like sloe berries, raspberries, and wild strawberries, all of which grew in the area.
They ate so healthily back in the day, guys.
Mess hall where all of the men got together.
There's no Kit Kat or ice creams or chips.
Each century, or more often a pair of centuries, would find a spot to eat together. A century being 80 soldiers with a centurion to lead them. And that centurion was usually the one making the decision on...
I thought a centurion was a Greek mythology creature with the top half of a man and the bottom half of a horse.
Who made the meals. Because there was rarely, if ever, like a designated
Is that a centaur?
That's his only job. Instead, the men had to cook for themselves, or more often for their small group of 8 soldiers called a contubernium.
Let's move on.
This was the smallest organized group of soldiers in the Roman army, and each day one of them would usually be tasked with grinding all of the grain for the other 7 men. And according to records, that took 4 hours of grinding grain by hand. And as someone who has ground some grain by hand for like 20 minutes, I would not last 1 hour.
They were just built different back in the day.
Some of the kerns used to grind this grain.
Dude, that's like crazy strength and cardio workout all in one for sustained 4 hours for endurance. Jesus. Man, these people were probably shredded. I gotta train like a Roman soldier, Todd. If I want to be in shape by April vacation, I gotta train like a Roman soldier. There were units, absolutely. They ate chestnuts. They were constipated too, maybe. I would imagine back in the days they had more frequency of eating bad food. That'll probably give them diarrhea. I think they'll be fine.
Been found and had the names of their owners engraved on them, like the soldier Africanus or another marked as the property of Victorinus. But exactly what grain Victorinus would have been grinding depended on
Victoria News.
Now, ideally, it would have been wheat, mostly spelt or bread wheat or common wheat, which were grown throughout the area and so would have been easily had, though rye and oats seem to have been used frequently as well. They were likely the grains that were grown by the local Britons, who get several mentions in those writings from Vindolanda. You will receive out of the Britons' carts 381 modi of
How much
grain.
is a modi?
Furthermore, they have loaded 53 modi into each individual cart. But there was another grain that was quite common and far less desirable. Courteous super to his cassium, greetings, so that you may explain and so that they may get from you barley. Goods. Again, these
Why is it barley
so
not as desirable?
It doesn't quite make sense, but
people still eat barley today, and it's
barley.
like
barley was one of the most plentiful grains used in the area, but no fighting man would want it for his dinner.
Why?
Usually it was used for either making beer or sometimes to thicken a pulse or porridge. It was eaten as fodder for the animals or those lowest people in society, the slaves. But there were occasions where a legionary would find himself with a dense loaf of barley bread for his dinner. And that was considered a punishment.
Oh, shit. Well, people be eating barley these days for unrefined grains. I swear I've heard people say barley, like talk about barley as if it's some sort of like healthy alternative. Isn't it? That doesn't spike your blood sugar. Bad food is subjective. True. I still eat yogurt and cheese past expiry. As long as there's no mold on it, it's okay.
His military manual, Vegetius, talks about a certain drill, basically weapons training, and then says the old Romans were so conscious of its usefulness that they rewarded the masters at arms with double allowance of provision.
Ooh.
The soldiers who were lacking in this drill were punished by having their allowance in barley. Nor did they receive it as usual in wheat until they showed sufficient proof of their knowledge of every part of their study.
Bulk barn in shambles.
No wheat for you. But whether you earned your wheat or were saddled with barley, once ground it would be baked into bread using a communal oven, or several communal ovens.
Communal ovens?
Forts had ovens.
That's fun.
To huge pizza ovens built into the stone ramparts.
Pizza? They had stone pizzas?
This helped to prevent fires breaking out. Though there were times when the loaves were baked on hot coals, especially if you were outside of camp. Even the Emperor
It's so interesting to review old cooking technology because a lot of the stuff that we consider to be like artisan or luxury these days, due to the rise in technology, was so commonplace back in the day. It was like regarded as like not that fancy. You know what I mean? It's very interesting. Like stone baked pizza places nowadays charge more than like oven baked pizza places. Like grilling stuff over hot coal is supposed to be like a fancy little thing they'll do at your table so you can watch, and you gotta pay extra for that. Oh boy, how the turns tabled.
Caracalla, who was with the legions in Britain just north of Hadrian's Wall in the year 211, was known to bake his bread this way. With his own hand, he would grind his personal ration of grain, make it into a loaf, bake it in the ashes, and eat it.
That's crazy.
Just one of the guys.
One of his hands.
As soon as he got back to the fort, he was glad that he had more options available than just bread. Because the Roman forts in this area may have started out just to house the troops, but very quickly became like small city centers. Soldiers housed their wives and children, and those families expected more to eat than the typical ration. And with the excellent road system that the Romans built, records from only a few years after Rome conquered the area show that nearly every luxury item in the empire was available at those forts.
Hello?
Amphorae of garum, olives, olive oil, and wine were available to nearly everyone.
That's amazing.
In fact, evidence shows that wine was being imported to Britain even before the Romans set out to conquer it. And the Romans didn't just import foods, but began growing new foods locally, introducing several types of onion, leek, parsnip, beet, radish, lettuce, cucumber, garlic, broad beans.
That's a lot more than I thought.
And by the year 90 or so, the texts from Vindolanda show that soldiers were ordering food that was coming all the way from Syria and northern.
They had international Uber Eats in the year 90? Bro, these people were eating good. My goodness. My apologies for assuming they were eating like worms or something. That sounds amazing. That sounds amazing. Oh my gosh. Didn't Italy not have tomatoes for a long time, so it's probably not a traditional pizza. Oh, I wonder what old pizza tastes like. I can't imagine trying pizza without tomato sauce. Lobster used to be considered a trash food. That's crazy. It's the shells, isn't it? That's crazy though. The change in how we regard different what's the word? Luxury foods, I guess. Very interesting.
Africa, from which many of the soldiers also
salmon used to be peasant food, bitch. That shit is like $40 at Costco. It's so expensive.
Spices,
that's crazy.
Slow deer of salt, young pig, ham of wheat, venison for pickling of emmer. And the pigs and ham would have probably been pretty local. In fact, we know some of the names of the people who were tending to those pigs, like in one account of a man who was doling out grain to people around the fort. A count of wheat measured out, from which I myself have put into the barrel. To the ox herds in the wood, 8 modi. To the legionary soldiers on the order of Firmus, 11 modi. To Luco, in charge of the pigs. To Father, in charge of the oxen. I just think it's so cool that we know that nearly 2,000 years ago, at a fort called Vindolanda, on the very northern frontier of the Roman Empire, a man named Luco was tending to some
That's
pigs.
insane.
We also know the name of someone who is very fond of eating those pigs. Felicio the centurion. Bacon, 45 pounds.
Oh my God, Felicio, why did you eat so much bacon?
Felicio the centurion, as a loan, 21 May, received spices, a half sextarius.
What's a sextarius?
Received gruel, received eggs.
Holy.
Eggs, bacon, and spices. Felicio was definitely eating
yes,
well.
Felicio, you are taking up some resources. That is so insane that you can know. Hi, Griffey. Hi, how are you? Are you feeling better? That is so insane how you can like know this stuff 2,000 years past. Oh my gosh, what if 2,000 years from now someone's studying like people and they're like, we know 2,000 years ago, you know, we don't know if humans were real, but we know 2,000 years ago someone was piloting the model of Raelia. Someone was being a fucking degenerate on this website called Twitch. Oh, that'll be crazy.
There are also orders for goat meat, as well as hunting records for wild deer and birds
wild
like
deer.
ducks and swans, as well as salmon,
Wild
trout,
game
and
tastes
pike
really
caught from the
good
South
once you
Tyne
like
River.
season
Sheep and
it.
cattle were also found grazing nearby and could provide both milk and meat for the men and their families. Though for Flavius Cerealis, the prefect of the 9th cohort of Batavians, he impressed his guests with chicken. He entertained the elite of Britain on several occasions, and in the year 104, he entertained the governor of Britain himself.
No way!
And chicken was on the menu.
Oh my
1st
God.
of May, for the
Good
singularis.
choice.
On the visit of the governor, consumed at lunch, chickens, number 4. And they would have been well flavored, as they ordered and brought through adiutor from London a set of cooking bowls, 10 denarii, mustard seed, anise, caraway, thyme, 1 sextarius, 1/8 denarius. And as one mustn't neglect their veggies, there is a record of one Julius Verecundus sending his slave to pick up some greens and then gently admonishing him for mixing up the keys.
Oh,
Julius
what's the key?
Verecundus to Audax, greetings. As soon as it will have been possible, send in the morning part of the load which I have today dispatched to you with 2 loose horses, lest it be damaged by the conveyance in which the greens will be brought. That is, the shoots both of cabbage and of turnip, and send them. Also, you sent another key with the box than you should have, for this is said to be the key of the little store.
Oh, like a door key.
Now, as I
I
mentioned,
thought it was like a measurement for greens or something. Thank you, Archie. Good luck with studying. Missed you too, Griffey. Welcome back. Welcome back. Someone talking about smut and yaoi 2,000 years ago. No way. Ain't no way. Sociologist majors, social studies, sociologist, whatever. That study of humans. They would have a field day in 2,000 years studying humans who want to play cartoon characters on screen. And people who watch. Oh my God. I think there needs to be a study of like Noodle-sama. Because it's so good. Like, how is the content so freaking engaging for an AI? That is mind-blowing. And having like emotional attachment to a character that you know is not a real person. That's crazy.
wine was widely available
Psychology.
to the men, whether it was the fine wine that came from Greece or the sweet wine, passum, that came from usually Italy, or the wine acetum, or a sour wine that was used to make posca. And surely the men that were stationed there who had grown up around the Mediterranean would have preferred wine to drink. But most of the first garrisons in the area were actually Tungrians and Batavians. And while Roman citizens, they did not come from Italy, but from the lands that are now northern France and the Netherlands. And according to Tacitus, their drink is a liquor prepared from barley or wheat, brought by fermentation to a certain resemblance of wine.
Beer?
That is, beer, or a form of it. And most Romans had a contempt for it and the people.
Yes. This is how I feel about people who drink craft beer. If this is you in chat right now, I don't like you. People who be like, oh, this weekend I shall be going to a craft beer market and festival and trying all the different craft beers. Bruh. I've never related to Romans as hard as I do now.
Who drank it, and no one had more contempt for it than Pliny the Elder.
I'm Pliny the Elder.
These drinks unmixed, and do not dilute them with water
Do
the
not,
way that
peasant.
wine is modified. And yet, by Hercules, one really might have supposed that there the earth produced nothing but grain for the people's use. Alas, what wondrous skill, and
How
yet
misplaced.
means have absolutely been discovered for getting drunk upon water even. But those Tungrians and Batavians guarding Britain absolutely loved it. There are many, many orders for this Celtic beer. Musculus to Cerealis, his king, greeting. Please, my lord, give instructions as to what you want us to have done tomorrow. Farewell.
What?
My fellow soldiers have no beer. Please order some to be sent.
Have some wine, heathens. Refine your taste buds. Oh, hi, Zay. Hey, how are you doing? Hi. Good morning. Can you believe these barbarians? They don't even dilute their booze. I know, weaklings. I swear.
What's interesting is that the word for this beer usually appears as cerveza or cerveza, which likely came from a Celtic word for beer. But today, in Spanish, the word is still cerveza, a bottle of which would actually probably go pretty well with this ancient Roman pork.
Yeah,
and
that sounds good, actually.
which still needs a sauce. So for that, what you'll need is 1 teaspoon of cumin, 2 teaspoons chopped cilantro, 1 tablespoon of coriander seeds,
I love
2
coriander.
teaspoons chopped mint, and 1 teaspoon of peppercorns, or about 4...
Wait, I've never actually seen peppercorns. That's what they look like fresh peppers. They look like those things that grow on like poplar trees that drop around fall time. They look like little worms. You know what I mean? That's long pepper. Okay, I've never seen. That's really cool.
long pepper. Both were available in ancient Rome, though long pepper did tend to be more expensive, which is actually still the case today, but probably because it's a little bit better. It doesn't have quite as much heat, but it has more flavor to it, so I do prefer it. And I'll put a link in the description to where you can get that, as well as asafoetida. You'll need a half teaspoon.
It looks like suspect white powder. I do want some long pepper. That sounds good. I love the taste of pepper, but I hate how if you put in too much, it's just a little choky in the back of your throat.
And this was the pungent replacement for Rome's favorite spice, silphium, which was thought to have gone
I thought that said
extinct
syphilis.
during the time of Nero, and so they used this as a replacement. Though recently, they think they've
Favorite
actually
spice,
maybe found
syphilis.
silphium growing again in Turkey. They don't know, but they think probably. But either way, you're not going to get your hands on it, so stick with the asafoetida. So grind all of these together, then put them in a saucepan with a 1/4 cup of white wine vinegar, 2 tablespoons of honey,
Yummy.
1 teaspoon of garum,
Yummy.
and a 1/4 cup of defrutum.
What's
and that is grape
defrutum?
must that has been reduced to a thick, sweet syrup, and today you can buy it under the name Saba or Sapa, and it's my new favorite condiment.
I put that on everything.
I actually have something sort of similar. I have something made from plum from Korea. It's really good. It's very good in cooking.
Finally, add a 1/4 cup of the liquid from the simmering meat and stir everything together, bringing it to a gentle boil. Then mix 2 teaspoons of starch or corn flour in with a little water and
Thicken
add
it
that to
up.
the sauce and let it simmer for a couple minutes as it thickens.
Nice.
Then dish up the pork and apples, pour the sauce over it,
Oh my
and
God.
here we are. Ancient Roman pork with apples. We'll put a little cracked pepper on that puppy and give it a try. So we will go with just some of the pork, but I'm going to dip it into the sauce because that's what
Oh my
you
God, this one
want.
goes
we
so well with some rice.
I'm going to try some of the apple.
Oh my God, son, I'm so hungry. Why is his pepper thing so big? Maybe he's compensating, or maybe it's an accurate
That's
representation.
fantastic. There's definitely something very ancient Roman about the flavor with the defrutum and the garum and asafoetida, but there's
What does that
something
mean? Something very ancient Roman? How would you know what that tastes like?
very familiar with it. It hits you, the vinegar really hits you, so it's kind of
It's
sour
different.
at first, but then that quickly fades away and it just becomes sweet and yet aromatic and complex.
Yum.
This, I think, is the best
Yummy,
ancient
yummy.
Roman dish that I have made. It is definitely
As
the best ancient Roman dish
Yori-
that I have made. I'm
Yeah,
gonna try
thank you
one
for
of
the follow.
one of the
Mwah.
meatballs.
Welcome. Tastes like Rome.
That's awesome.
Hi, Soph.
That's me patting my own back because that is fantastic. You know, with ancient Roman cooking, they don't give you the exact quantities of everything, so you
Right,
kind of
right.
have to make it up yourself
Yeah,
to
yeah.
your tastes. And this is definitely to my tastes.
Oh,
this
it smells
one
so
is
good.
absolutely worth making, and I don't always say that, but this one absolutely is. It's a lot of ingredients, but it's fun and complex and not that hard. So make this one, and I will see you next time on Tasting History.
Nice. I enjoyed this. This is very good. Thank you so much for recommending this channel. I love cooking stuff and finding new recipes to try. That's awesome. Oh, this feels so good. Oh my gosh. I'm so hungry.